How good is your sense of smell? Have you ever been in some place where you couldn't smell anything and maybe you felt bad afterwards? Or maybe you did smell stuff like a candle, like mold, and afterwards your nose wasn't as good as it was before you walked in. Good morning, and today we are going to talk about how good is your sense of smell and what can be done about your stinky air if that's what you're running into. Welcome to Renovation of the Nose. I would like to ask you to subscribe if you're here for the first time and have not yet subscribed to our channel. We will let you know anytime we have a new video posted, so you'll get to hear all kinds of stuff about getting rid of nasty smells that can make you sick. So today I got stories. And I had a friend who, she just couldn't hardly get out of bed. She spent most of the day in there. And her husband said, maybe you just need to change the scenery. And so they went down to Gatlinburg. Well, I guess Gatlinburg would perk up anybody. But she was walking along the streets down in Gatlinburg and doing shopping and just like her old self. So what was the difference? The difference between clean, fresh mountain air and stinky, moldy air in her own home. So her house was literally making her sick, and she'd been there long enough she couldn't smell it. So when she came back home, they had called before they left, and I saw her Monday night at a party. I was like, whoa, what happened to you? And she got out and was smelling fresh air. So my husband, he got his mom had a virus. She was in the hospital and he went to visit her, and apparently he contracted the virus. And this was 20 years ago, so it's not COVID. But he got sick too, and the repercussions from that for him was he couldn't smell anymore. Come to find out, that is called anosmia. Anosmia. A-N-O-S, like M-I-A. Anosmia. And, that's kind of common. It comes from colds and allergies and that sort of thing, congestion for long periods of time. Even, she was in the hospital 3 or 4 days, and I didn't visit her for that long, but it took his sense of smell away. The reason we kind of knew that, but didn't realize the repercussions, the side effects because of that. And he went to rehab. He had some heart issues and had to go to rehab. And he went in one day, and they would not put him on the exercise equipment because his blood pressure was high, his heart was racing, pulse just high, low oxygen levels. Just all of the vital signs were bad. So they sent him immediately up to the emergency room to be seen. He called me and said, here's where the car is, bring it around, and here's where I am. So I went to get in the car that he had driven, and lo and behold, I couldn't sit in there. It reeked so bad from the gasoline can in the back seat, sitting in the hot sun. I had to get it out, and I put it in my vehicle so I could drive his car up there and kind of aired it out. But when I got to the waiting room in the emergency room, I said, you'll be fine. You should be fine now. You're breathing fresh air. It was breathing that gasoline. He could not smell it. So not being able to smell things is very detrimental to your health. A friend of mine gave me a candle one time. Just, a normal little fragrance. It was apple cinnamon, I remember. Oh my gosh, my nose went crazy. I couldn't stop sneezing and blowing my nose, and it was just awful. It was from that candle. Got rid of the candle and I was fine. Now, I could smell it, I knew it, but my reaction was it should not be in the room. So we got rid of that and took care of it. But what can you do to still breathe safe, breathable air, even if you can't smell that it's bad? Well, there are a few things you can do. And as you're listening to this, what I love for you to do is in the chat, type in there, OdorXit works in the chat. So we need some engagement going here. I want to know people are out there. OdorXit works. Of course it does. And that's why we're here today, to figure out why your sense of smell can get you into trouble. So what can you do to get rid of those smells? Well, mold, we do have our AQM product, which is not within arm's reach at this particular moment. Oh, I just pulled down cleaned up my desk. AQM, Air Quality Manager by OdorXit. It will clean up your air. That's what Connie, the girl who went to Gatlinburg to breathe fresh air, we put in her. She had a ground covered house and it just covered with ground and kind of moist all the time and moldy, and she needed that to get rid of those spores, and she's able to breathe much better, and she's still living in that same house 20 years later today. Now she does use AQM on a regular basis because that house just brews moisture and the mold keeps coming back. So, but she's able to breathe. She's 94 or 5, I can't remember. So, that's what she's done to be able to continue to live in her house, even though there's mold spores. And it gets rid of those for a period, but she's got to use it again to keep them gone. For my husband, getting rid of the gasoline can was really all he needed. But, using something afterwards that's not going to bother you is really important too. And all of our products are safe-based materials. The two are essential oils and water, and there's very few people that we've ever heard that affects their breathing, that they can't take it. The AQM, we did hear from somebody a couple weeks ago that it really bothered her breathing. She put this big packet for 1,000 square feet of surface area, which you're counting floor, walls, ceiling, furniture is surface area. She put this in a bathroom, like a 200 square foot bathroom, and she just couldn't breathe it. I mean, it was just so strong. So don't be putting this in a closet and sitting there, or put this in your car and sit in there. It will get rid of the smoke smell, but you can't be in there. So using these and following the directions will get rid of those smells that you don't even know they're there. And if you're concerned about your house, maybe you had a leak in the basement, condensation on the windows, and you've never seen water, get an AQM packet or a couple of them, depending on the size of your house, and put those in there. What it does is oxidize those smells. It adds more oxygen. It's going to smell a little bit like chlorine. It's actually going to add more oxygen than if you were using chlorine, which makes it safer, but in the suggested area, suggested room size, and it will get rid of that by adding the oxygen. So it's not harmful unless you're extremely sensitive, and only you know that. And obviously you can put it in there and leave. Certainly a car, you want to do it overnight. You don't want to sit in that small area. This will get rid of musty smells on your clothes in a closet. So put the packet out in the room and aim the fan and the packet at the closet so that it's dispersing it through a much bigger area so you can be in there. And for most people, it's not a problem. That was, we've been doing this since 2006. We've been selling our air quality manager, and she's really the first person we've heard of how it has. She couldn't breathe it, but again, it was in a much smaller space than recommended that you use. So What can you do to still have safe, breathable air when you can't smell a problem? OdorXit AQM. What else can you do? Tell your friends. If you walk into their house and it smells, if they're saying they just don't feel good, they got aches and pains, it could be their air. We had another friend who she had, aches and pains. Her whole family did. And they had big, probably 10 steps to the front porch, 10 steps up to the second floor, and down to the basement. And so they were doing steps all the time. Their knees were killing them. And just, can you come and check out our house? So we did. We went in the basement, and it was just terribly humid. It was really stinky of musty smells. We looked around. The hot water pipe was dripping above the washer and dryer. The downspout was missing on the outside, so the water was dumping all in the basement. And in the corner of the basement, she had a big pile of clothing that was catching all the water coming in from the basement. So they were all moist and wet and more stink. And then at the bottom of the basement steps, there was a crack in the wall. So whenever it rained, water came in there. Stopping the water is really important to get rid of the smells. So she had to get her downspout fixed, wash or throw away all those clothes to get them up off the floor, dry them, get rid of that smell. And we had her add OdorXit Eliminator concentrate to each load of wash to get rid of the smell in the laundry. And you don't want to give them away smelling like that. You're going to taint everything else in the store. And so she washed them and got rid of them. Had a plumber come and fix the pipe above the washing machine. Got rid of all the water. She filled the crack at the bottom of the steps and put some AQM. And we have 2 different sizes. This is the larger packet that will do 2,000 square feet of surface area. And she put this one in the basement and put it behind a fan so it circulated the gas it creates. And it got rid of all that smell. It oxidized the spores in the air. They put some upstairs in their house. And lo and behold, their aches and pains in their knees went away. So you don't know what those smells can be doing to you. They're damaging your lungs. Another symptom of not being able to breathe, or another cause, today we are in COVID times, is COVID-19. They're saying that is a onset symptom that you could possibly have COVID, losing your sense of smell. We won't go there. I don't know what to say to that. But, it's a real thing. So if you're starting to not smell, follow the directions when you use this packet and you'll be safe. It'll get rid of whatever's in the air that could be bothering you. And it doesn't just do the mold spores. It does cigarette. If you had a smoker come in occasionally, it'll get rid of that smell. Mothballs. People put mothballs to keep squirrels and those kind of things away. It'll get rid of that smell too. Now there's a real process. You got to make sure all the mothballs are gone, because they will keep producing that terribly poisonous gas from the mothballs. So those got to be gone. And sometimes if it's in your attic with insulation, you got to replace the insulation. So it's a big deal. But then that smell is still left, and the AQM will take care of that. So those smells can be making you feel bad. So take a look around your house. What could possibly be making you sick? Unfortunately, sometimes our houses do make us sick. They make them so sealed up that fresh air can't get in. And we want you to close the windows and the doors so that the AQM gas gets to all your cracks and crevices, all in the places that the smoke could hide, the spores could hide, all the source of that odor. And it just takes time to get there. And that air is just going to waft. It's going to waft around, in between here, those spores settle, and they've had time to settle. So you have to give the AQM gas and vapor and air time to get where those spores are landing to oxidize them. Again, it adds additional oxygen to the chemical, chlorine dioxide, to get rid of those smells. And 100% effective. If you're not happy, call us. We will always work with you to make sure you're doing the right process so that you are successful. There's a trick, a science, a special way, and it changes. So, call us to put moisture with these packets so that you do get the gas coming out. And you can't hear that one. Can you hear those granules shaking? That's kind of what it should sound like. Now, this one is still good. You can't hear it shake like that because the packet is twice as much powder in here, but it's still going to work. But that's what it should sound like. It should not be a solid mass. Once it gets kind of solid, it's done producing that gas, and it might be done. But it will produce a gas normally for 20 to 30 days, and it doesn't take that long to get rid of the smell. But I would always leave my packet in there and let it continue to treat the area, just so it gets deeper into the cracks and crevices. I'm looking for something else that might have, if I left my phone alone, you'd want the air to get up into here. You want that gas to get up into here. So it's just got to get in there. The other thing, you got to get rid of cardboard boxes. Cardboard boxes absorb that gas and don't let it work. So take your valuables, put them in plastic containers. It's a great opportunity to clean up your house, to, what do they call that? De-junk, that's not the word they use, declutter. It's a great time to declutter your house. So be sure and do that. Get rid of the cardboard boxes, because if it is mold lives on cardboard, because cardboard is made from wood, and that's just food. So it continues to feed the mold, and it continues to grow, and you don't get rid of it. The other thing is, if you're in the basement, turn off your dehumidifier. If it smells musty, the dehumidifier is not going to help you. The dehumidifier takes the moisture out of the air. So what it's doing is trying to take away the mold's food. And the mold is very smart. It's very necessary, but it's very smart. And it says, they're trying to kill me. I better make more. We need more. So they produce more spores in the air, which makes it worse. So turn off the dehumidifier when you're using these packets. Once you get rid of that smell, and once your 20 to 30 days for this packet are up, then put the dehumidifier back in so it keeps the moisture out so the mold does not come back. So that's how you use that. See, I got any more mold stories? Let's see. Well, I had a lady who, I think I told this story already, but I'll tell it again. Not today, though. I had a lady who, with COVID, she shut up her restaurant for 10 weeks. She's actually in Virginia. And, things happen when you're not there. The air doesn't get moved around to evaporate the moisture that comes in. So when she came back and opened up, her basement, her crawl space, was just a horrible musty smell. It was coming up through the floorboards in her restaurant, and it made it really, really stinky to eat there. I mean, you couldn't smell the wonderful garlic and onions and butter in the food from the nasty mold smell. And people, weren't staying very long. Another restaurant that happened to, well, we'll do that next. And she got a $40,000 bid from a remediator to fix it, get rid of the smell, take care of the moisture, and no guarantee. So she got on the internet, found us, called us. We sold her $250 worth of product, worth of AQM, different sizes for the crawl space. And she got rid of the odor. The smell was gone, passed a mold air quality test. There was no spores in the air. And her customers kind of forgot that it smelled so bad because it was gone. When the smell's not there, you don't really remember it. But when it's there, you do remember. So she got rid of that smell and was extremely happy. Had another restaurant who the street was digging up all their plumbing, and they had broken a plumbing pipe, and the sewer gases were coming up through the piping into the bathroom. Well, we love this restaurant. We got seated across from the bathroom, and it was awful. That's awful. So what I did was I ran out to the car because, we are the odor people, or the odor eliminator people. I got a bottle of Magic. Can you see that? I can't see it very well. Hopefully you can see it better than I can. And I was sitting under the table. I just kept spraying under the table. I went into the bathroom. I sprayed the walls. I sprayed around the vents where the gas was coming up. Kind of walked through the restaurant nonchalant with this down at my leg. I just kept spraying as I walked through, so it kind of got into the aisles, but I didn't want it to spray at people's faces or their food or anything, so it was very low. And hey, 5 minutes later, nobody could smell anything. The smell just went away. And the magic is water and essential oils. Nobody seems to have a issue with breathing that. And it absorbed that bathroom smell so that you could smell and taste the garlic, butter, and onions and wine in the restaurant. So I had another story. It just popped into my mind with that one. Another plumbing restaurant story, but it escapes me at the moment. So actually, well, we did have another one where somebody vomited in the restaurant and used Magic to get rid of that smell, because you can clean it up really fast, but you can't always get rid of that smell. And and in a restaurant, that's just a terrible place to have odors. For the people who smell, they're going to leave. And I don't know about you, but sometimes you smell that vomit and you do the same thing. So, so those of you who are watching, I'd love for you to put in the chat window, OdorXit works or OdorXit rocks. We'd love to hear from you, getting some engagement up here. And we're talking today about how good is your sense of smell. In a restaurant where they're vomiting, oh, you hope it's not good. But you know what? It doesn't turn off for those sort of things. I can't remember the other. Oh, I know. It was another restaurant. That's who it was. We got called to a restaurant, very, very upscale, very, very upscale here in Cincinnati. We will not mention names because but they called because they were burning garlic to get rid of the smell that was coming up underneath their restaurant. We went in and investigated, and they had the back door open. I mean, you walked in and it was awful. It was awful. And it was sewer gases. So, you can't have those kind of smells when you're eating dinner. So we crawled around in the basement looking, and there was, you go down the steps, and there was all the it was an Italian restaurant, bottles of wine. Oh, we love that part. And, you know, the cans, the extra cans and all the materials to cook the food. But when you turned the other way, you could kind of see there was like a 12-inch, I guess, crawl space. And, you know, unfortunately, out of my husband and I, when we go do these investigations, I'm the one with the nose. So I get to go put it where it stinks, as we say, unhappily. And my nose led me to this crawl space, and it must have been it was higher than 12 inches at the beginning because it narrowed because I could get in a little bit. And fortunately, I didn't have on great clothes. I was not there to eat dinner. And so I kind of crawled in a little bit, and I could see there was puddles of water back there, just puddles, and it wasn't water. Well, actually, it was water, but it was dirty water from the kitchen. Some of the drains from the sink, and when they would dump things out back, would go into this kind of trench underneath the building. Oh, it was awful. It was just awful. And we had sprayed OdorXit a few times before we actually found this. And but then we called in a friend of ours who was a plumber, who would have to dig it up, put a drain in, put in a sump pump, and so we got their odor taken care of. But you know what? They refused to pay us. We solved their problem, and they refused to pay us. But then they eventually did. Publicity is a wonderful thing. So people's noses tell a lot. Do you want to eat here? Do you want to live here? Do you need to do something about your living here because it could be health related? And, you know, they were going to lose business if they didn't get rid of that smell. And, you know, he set up a long-term solution. OdorXit, in that puddle, you've got to get rid of the source of the odor first. No matter what product of ours you're using, they had to get rid of that nasty, dirty water that had sat there and just decayed. And I mean, it was dirty soap water, had food in it, rotting food. It was just nasty. And the mold, you got to stop the water so you can get rid of that. I mean, you have to get rid of the source before you're going to get rid of that odor. And then our products work 100%. So if you've got any odor, I recommend you go to OdorXit.com right now. Right after you write in our chat, OdorXit rocks. OdorXit works. We eliminate odors. So we'd love to hear from you. And otherwise, please hit the red button and subscribe to our video, our channel, and you'll be notified of the next time we have a renovation of the nose video, which I haven't decided what the next topic's going to be yet. There's only so many things you can say about odors. Ha, 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 ha. So thank you so much for tuning in. Please go to OdorXit.com and make your choice on what products you need to get rid of your odors. If you don't know which one, then you can always call us at our 877 OdorXit number, 877-636-7948, and we can help you get that right product for your odor. We can put in the order for you, or you can certainly do it yourself online. So thank you so much for tuning in to How Good Is Your Sense of Smell? Have a great week. We will be back here next week with some other stinky topic. Bye.